I have had more fun introducing with you to back me up all these incredible acts that you get for Miller Outdoor Theater, always totally free. And before we talk about the 100-year anniversary and your role there, I have to ask you about you. Tell me about your past and how did you end up at Miller Outdoor Theater?
Um, First of all, my birth announcement many years ago was a pink theater ticket.
Were mom and dad in the theater?
No,
No.
I was born in Bluefield, West Virginia.
Uh-huh.
They were not in the entertainment business. My father was a furrier, actually. Um,
Really?
my mother just thought it was cute, and it is. There's no question about it. It's
Right,
very cute.
right.
Costumes by diaper, that kind of thing. Who knew that all of those years later that is indeed the profession I would choose? Neither of them had the opportunity to go to college. So when it came time, we moved to Houston in 1953. So all of
Wow.
my education, everything was here, and sort of grew up, in Houston. Always was a singer, but not because my parents encouraged it. It was just, as you know, Dana, it comes from your heart. Whatever
Right.
you've got, it kind of comes from inside. And for me, that was kind of it. I first went to work. I went to UT, graduated, came home armed with a degree in psychology. Good for so
Wow.
much. Yeah, woo. And I actually had a minor in communications and went to work for a for-profit entertainment company as soon as I graduated from school. It was Pace Management Corporation,
Wow. Yep.
now Live Nation. But
Yes.
I cut my teeth on boat shows and thrill shows and motorcycle races, motocross races, big trade and consumer shows. Eventually, the Superdome grand opening, went into the concert arena concert business, sort of on the ground floor of that industry, and then computerized ticketing for a couple of years. And then when I left there, I went to work for Theater Under the Stars. So I crossed from the for-profit to the nonprofit side.
Right.
And when I went to work for Tuts in 1979, I really fell in love with musical theater.
Mhm.
It just kind of takes all of it and puts it together for me. Just personally, it is far and away my favorite performing art. Doesn't mean I don't love the others, but musical theater really has my heart. Um, when I went to work for Tuts, of course, Theater of the Stars was born at Miller Outdoor Theater with one performance in 1968 in this building that we're in now. Um, that so Miller has been an integral part of Tut's DNA since it birthed in 1968. So I really began my professional relationship with Miller in 1979 when I went to work for Tuts. I was with Tuts off and on for 20 years on staff. I was recruited to be on the board. I was president of the board for a couple of years, back and forth between staff and board and doing things for them. And then at the end of that time, when I left there, I started my own marketing, PR, and special events company, and Miller Theater actually became my second client. They were a
Wow.
client for 9 years, and I happened to be in the former board chair's office one day talking to him about a project he wanted me to do for him, marketing PR wise. And he got a phone call from the current board chair. And, and I could see his face like going, oh my God, oh my God. And I thought, what's wrong? What's happened? And he said, well, the guy they had hired to come in and be the first artistic director and then managing director decided to go back to Austin, to open a new theater there. It was a brand new performing arts center, much too good a deal to pass up, particularly
Mhm.
for somebody whose heart was really back in Austin.
Right.
So, and he said, so now we're looking for a new managing director. And I'm like, hello,
Oh, man.
you'd want that job? I said, you only know me in this little bitty tiny box. You don't know what I did before. You have no idea what my whole career path has been. And I started explaining it, and he's like, oh, you're right. We didn't know. So I tossed my hat in the ring. There were four of us who were being, in the end.
Mhm.
And fortunately, they chose me, and I started this job in December of 2008. and have had the opportunity to really help shape, along with the board, particularly the program committees, through the years, to help shape the path of the programming and to grow the presented programming, to really beef it up, to make sure that we're bringing we're making all of these great performances, and you have been a part of so many of
Oh, they're
them,
so good.
available to people totally free of charge.
Yep. Yep.
Nobody else in the country does this in the volume and certainly the high quality that we're able to do. I mean, and it's 8 months. A typical season is 8 months.
Amazing.
It's not 3 weeks of, Shakespeare or a concert series and, the summer, whatever, which is fabulous. And we encourage every city to get on board and make the arts available to people.
Hmm.
Why not?
Right.
And as far as Houston goes, what an incredible gift this place is. It is a gift.
Sissy, I agree. Now, you go there and you see these amazing draping live oak trees, the incredible architecture of this stage. Then, when you and I were talking, you're like, Dana, the 100th anniversary is coming up. I'm like, wait a minute, what? And I started researching
Yeah,
pictures
yeah, yeah.
of what Miller Outdoor Theater used to look like. It almost looked like a Colosseum in Rome, right? With those two little bitty trees.
Yeah, but
It's
they were there. Those trees were there then.
yes.
It was very typical of the 20s period. It
Right.
was a 1923 is when it opened, and it was what they called concrete band shell. So it was all concrete. You had the 20 limestone columns, and you had those great, and they were already well established oak trees
Yes.
that were
Yes.
there. But think about it, the kind of shows that they were able to do back then. And
Unbelievable.
and believe me, they did shows. I mean, the first one, according to the reporting we've seen, was 2,500 people in a municipal pageant. They called it Springtime of Our Nation. I look at that and go, where did they dress? Where
Right.
are the bathrooms? Because, the kind of things that we think about today as a given with a structure like this, where the public comes, plus where performers are getting dressed and, preparing for shows. You look at that and go,
Yeah. Nothing.
I don't see anything there.
Right. I
But they
know.
came, and there was no hill, it was this sloping kind of lawn, definitely still in this 7.5 acres of Herman Park. The
Hmm.
park had already been established. The zoo had opened the year before. There was a mining engineer, cotton broker by the name of Jesse Wright Miller, who left the city a piece of property when he died, and he specified that it should be used for municipal purposes. They didn't love the location of the land, so they sold it to his sister because that made something she had contiguous. So,
Right.
and for the $50,000 that the proceeds, they then built Miller at that time Miller Memorial Theater on the 7.5 acres here in Herman Park. And that facility served the public for a long time, between 23 and 68. I mean, and it was
Wow.
very different from what it is now. The city leaders through the years, I mean, and at Miller, they broadcast prize fights. They broadcast the World Series. I mean, so you had your sporting events,
Mhm.
you had entertainment, and ultimately in the early 40s, the Houston Symphony played at Miller. It was the first time they played at Miller.
Wow.
They were the first real performing arts organization in the city. And so they were the first performing arts organization that performed here. First, it was the municipal band, I mean, it was those kind of things which were typical of the period.
Yeah.
And as the city watched the community grow, as the arts community changed, the city decided, you know what? We want something that can do bigger, better, different kinds of performances. And the only way to do that is to create a new kind of venue. So what's over my shoulder there, which
Yeah.
are, you can see the fabulous bat wings that, it was an award-winning design when it
Hmm.
opened in
Hmm.
1968. This facility is different because it is a true, as we call them, proscenium theater, meaning you've got fly space here. So set pieces can fly in and out. The drapes can fly in and out. You
Right.
go in the original, that certainly was not the case. There was nothing that you could fly. And you go to some of the sheds, the typical, amphitheater type venues, there's no fly space. So you can do great performances, but you can't do the same kind of things that we're able to do here, meaning opera, ballet, Tuts, Shakespeare. Those organizations can come out here and do the same sorts of performances that they can do downtown in the big, beautiful venues that we have downtown, the Wortham, Jones, Hobby Center. You can create the same kinds of things here that you can do there. That's what makes Miller special. And then even more special, that it's all free of charge to the public.
Yeah,
These
incredible.
organizations who we work with, who we give grants to every year, have to raise money to come out here to do what they do, because we're not able to provide 100% of what it costs them to be here, whether you're the largest organization in town or the tiniest that may do one performance a year at Miller. Every one of them literally partners with us to make these performances available free of charge. The Miller Theater Advisory Board gets an allocation of hotel occupancy tax monies through the city, which then we use to offer grants to the performing arts organizations and to pay the cost of their being in the building. It's more than just the actors who are on stage. You've got the stagehands, you've got all, the musicians who come, you've got the security, the ushers, the cost of the tickets. Everything goes into the mix to add to what it really costs for these performances to be on stage here at Miller Theater.
What a gift.
And it is a gift. It is an extraordinary gift. The city is so lucky, so lucky. Not only our citizens, but people who travel here. Think of the people, we're a mile from the medical center.
Yeah, yeah.
Think of what this has to mean to people who are here with family members, and they're dealing with really challenging personal issues.
Such a good point.
And if they can have a night to just come down the street and sit out there and enjoy art of some sort, I don't care what it is, but it's something that can lift their soul.
Yeah.
Give them a respite. How great is that?
It's amazing. And standing up on stage and
God.
looking out at the audience. And I'm telling you, Cissy, we've been doing this a long time together. Every time you invite Sunny, the night is beautiful. I don't think we've ever been, knock on wood, rained out, because it's an outdoor venue.
Trust me, honey, I've needed you the last few weeks, because
I know.
It's like,
I know.
Crazy.
I know.
Oh, it's our 100th anniversary. Can't it be nice, please?
You were made for this. You were made for this. All those years in those other venues got you ready for this.
It really, and too, because you've sat in the audience and you have been to shows where the audience has gotten so excited and so moved by whatever the performers are doing that the cell phones go up. And in our day, years ago, it used to be flick your bic. Well, we can't do that anymore, but the cell phones all have the flashlight or the candle or the whatever. And you turn around and you look, and the audience, the seats, and then the hill are filled with all of these waving lights. And, oh my God, you talk about chills.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing.
I have told so many people, those tribute bands that you get, Elton John, he's better than the real one. Whitney Houston, way better than the real one. Donna Summer.
Yeah.
I mean, is this part of your job? Are you the one who's going out and saying, bring these to Houston?
I'm the one who's looking for them. I'm the one. I in a typical year have gone to New York once a year. We have those of us who are in this industry, there is a huge conference that takes place in New York in January.
Ah,
And, you know, 2020, we
right.
were there in January and then the world shut down in March.
Yep. Yep.
So I was scheduled to go back this year because they were having it in person, fully in person this year. And I was already booked, ready to go, came down with COVID
Oh
just,
no.
just before I was going. So it's like, great. Canceled all of that. Was again having surgery on my shoulder, so had to push that a week out. But it's okay. I've, over the years, I have worked with so many agents. And when you go to those conferences, you're suddenly on everybody's e-blast list.
Hmm.
And so even agents I've never worked with before, I get information from them and you look and you kind of go, that, that, that could be interesting. So
Yep.
kind of do some research and it either is going to be interesting or it's not. But if it is, it's like, wait a minute, maybe that would be a good show for Miller. Some of them, if it's a tour, some of them tour only in the typical performing arts center kind of schedule, and we're not. We're a calendar based, so
Hmm.
we don't always fit when they're out on tour.
Gotcha.
Belinda Davids, who does the incredible Whitney Houston show,
She's so
right now
good.
it's like January, February. Well, we're not open then,
Right.
so sometimes those shows work and sometimes they don't. Many times I have been able to see snippets of those shows in New York at showcases. That's how I discovered Craig, the Elton John,
Elton John. Oh,
the Heart by Heart.
yes.
Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Saw them doing a showcase and so you kind of get an idea of what people could be like. And when you see a room of people who really have been doing this for a long time and are kind of jaded and they're into it and they're cheering and they're singing along, it's like, okay, that
This
one's
is a
gonna be
win.
good. This one's a
Yep.
winner.
Yep.
And people, classic albums. That's the only group that I have actually brought back every single year since 2010. Every year. Because they do different albums. There is a community that may not always be served by a lot of the other shows that happen, who
Hmm.
want that classic rock sound of all kinds. And what's fascinating is to see the different audiences who show up.
Who show up?
Even
Yeah.
more, the multi-generations who are showing up,
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
like, okay, this was my music. I want you to hear it, and then I want that one to hear it so that they know. And they're sharing all these great things together, and they're sharing the stories, that,
Yeah.
oh, I remember going to the whatever concert, you know, I- it's fabulous. It's just fabulous. And this year, my friends from Classic Albums, who actually proposed the idea last year when they were here, because it's the 100th, they said, got a
Right.
good idea for you. Why don't we do Sergeant Pepper's with the Houston Symphony?
Oh, sissy. Yes.
June 2nd. So,
Wow.
that is how Sergeant Pepper's was originally recorded. It was with a symphony. It was not just the Beatles playing their music, but that is symphonic music. So, um, we're I called the symphony and I said, "Would you be interested?" Yeah, we would. So this is, you know, June 2nd. It's a first out here where the symphony always does fabulous classical concerts and 4th of July, but never have we done this sort of pop kind of approach
Right. Right.
with the symphony. So we're all really excited about it. Classic Albums is very excited to be able to do this. And it's a great way to help celebrate the 100th. It's just one piece of many for the 100th
And I
anniversary.
want to talk to you about the 100th, but I do want to also mention the changes that you've seen. You look at the
Oh,
prices of
right.
concert tickets today.
Yeah,
You're still free.
yeah, right. We're still
And the entertainment is spot on spectacular. My husband was not into musical theater until I said, "Would you please come with me and be my date while I introduce whatever?" He loves it. We have
yeah,
introduced this guy who is kind of jaded, and he loves coming to Miller Outdoor Theater,
yeah.
thoroughly enjoys
Good,
it. We're
Good.
sitting right up front with all kinds of different people. You got the hill, you've got your reserved seats, which are free also, which
Yep.
I love
Yep.
so much.
Yep.
Am I correct in seeing what I think I saw, that Peter Frampton was actually there in 1982?
You're correct. That was back in the day when the radio stations were touring artists around the country
Right.
to introduce them. He was here, shut down the area. I mean, it got
Unbelievable.
so clogged, your emergency vehicles couldn't get through to the med center. It
Wow.
real Yes, Peter Frampton was here. Selena y los Dinos played at Miller 2 or 3 times when she was
Wow.
16 years old, 16, 17, before
Yep.
she became Selena. That was with Festival Chicano. So you have artists who
Yep.
have come here over the years, and you just think, really? They played at
Unbelievable.
Miller Saturday Night Live.
What?
Again, when those kind of thing, either the TV stations were touring people, they
Right.
were touring and yep, Saturday Night Live. Dan Aykroyd,
Unbelievable.
Belushi, yeah, yeah, John Belushi. Yeah. Oh,
Unbelievable.
yeah, yeah,
What a
yeah. It
great city we have.
it's I
So
mean,
what do
and
you have?
all free for God's sakes. How
All free. I know.
all
So
free, all
what
free.
can we look forward to, and how can we get information for this big blast of a party, 100 years? And I encourage people. I sent Joe our social media. I'm hoping that he puts the picture of what Miller used to
Yeah,
look like
exactly,
right next to
exactly.
what it looks
What
like
it
today,
looks
just so
today.
people
Yeah,
can say,
yeah.
"Wow,
Oh my. Yeah.
ah,
Wow. Wow. We're kind of saying this is 100 years of wow,
yeah,
because it is. Nobody, why would anybody believe that this really has been the case here in Houston for all these years? All these kind of activities have gone on at Miller Outdoor Theater. It's an amazing spot. This year, May 12th, which is the actual anniversary date,
okay,
happens to be when the ballet is performing Jewels, which is a spectacular and actually quite for the 100th spot on ballet. We're going to have a giant birthday cake. You and I both, we took our picture
we
in the birth
saw it."
in the fake 7-foot cake,
Right.
but
Tasted the icing.
we tasted the icing, but now you could taste the real icing because we are having El Bolillo Bakery is creating that cake, but a real one
Beautiful.
that will be cut right before the ballet starts. And then everybody can get a piece of cake. We'll have it at the concession stand during intermission. People can come and get their piece of cake to
Beautiful.
celebrate. A
Mhm.
giant card that we want people to sign, like a birthday card.
Right.
So sign the card. And of course, still that fabulous 7-foot tall cake that you can climb up the back of and pop out of the top is a great place for people to be able to take their selfies, or they're actually more pictures than selfies, unless you've got a really long arm. But it's just fun. In July, we've got when Tuts will be back out here this year, first time since 2019. Thank you, pandemic. They're here. They're really doing sort of a retrospective of Tut's history at Miller. So
Wow.
lots of musical theater pieces, shows that they've done, stories that people have to tell, remembrances. I mean, it's really going to be great. But on Friday and Saturday nights, the 14th and 15th of July, we have 2 more special events. We'll have theater themed activities for the kids, for grown-ups, different things going on. We'll have 2 muralists doing live paintings, one on Friday, one on Saturday, interactive. So people can go up and help them finish their paintings,
Wow.
which is very cool.
Mhm.
Um, oh gosh, what else? You can take pictures. There'll be roving performers, theatrical, get people involved with all of that. And then Tuts is doing their show. And then in November, the very last show, we actually commissioned a special piece to touring artists that have performed here before. Bella Gaia, who has partnered with NASA for years and creates these magnificent images from space and other imagery that they work with. And then it's all original music, and their dancers are breathtaking. just spectacular.
Wow.
They are partnering with William Close and the Earth Harp Collective. If you've ever seen his work, he turns your venue into a giant harp, which he then plays. But this time, they're going to be two giant harps. One, I mean, they're going to flank the screen so that it is the two groups together. And it's all about Miller. It's about Miller's 100th. So we are very excited. That's November 11th. The weekend before, our friends from Cirque Mechanics are back with their new show, Zephyr. They create these or build these mechanical devices, which then are what they use for all the acrobatics, all the dancing, all the things that happen to tell whatever story they're telling. But it's all about mechanical. I mean, it's kind of wild and fun. So we've got things really designed for all ages. You've got the Houston Symphony back, Houston Ballet, Houston Grand Opera, Theater Under the Stars, Shakespeare Festival, Festival Chicano. Dance of Asian America is partnering this year with Express Children's Theater. They are creating a new work that will be done in one night in the spring, in the evening, and then the two acts will be separated during the day in June when the Express Theater is out here for their Hilltop Theater Festival. And, so we're really watching organizations grow together, which is kind of
Yes.
fun.
Yeah.
It's really kind of fun to see that. Lots of fun stuff going on.
And I'll tell you, I've gone there with just the girls. I've gone there for date night. I've gone there alone, thoroughly enjoying the entertainment.
Yeah.
Your wine is incredible. The concession stand is great.
Yeah.
It's just such a delightful evening. It really is. And when you couple that with the fact that it's free, so families can come as a group and you're not going, I can only bring two because these concert tickets are absurd. Not
Exactly
with
right.
you all.
It's exactly right. I mean, and you think about it, for so many kids, this is the place where they are first introduced to the arts, to concerts, to dance, to whatever it might be. This is the place that they can see themselves on stage.
Yeah.
And they go, I'm not so crazy. I can do that.
Right.
I want to do that. So if this is the place where we can spark a child's imagination, give them the right to say, I can be a dancer, singer, musician. I can be that. And it's okay. And nobody's going to laugh at me. And that becomes their career.
Yeah.
We're growing the next me, the next people who want to go into arts administration. Hey, this is a great place. It is comfortable. It's safe. It gives it, and you're right. One of the first things you said was you see people from all backgrounds.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody can come here.
Yep.
People who support these organizations, people who are already subscribers, they love to come to Miller because they like the vibe. They like to kick back. They like to bring their own food and wine and all their things and all their family. And why not? And then you've got the people who may never, ever be able to go downtown to enjoy a performance because the cost is simply too much. But
Right.
they can come here. And you're right. They don't have to choose. They can bring all of their children.
That's right.
They can bring their grandparents. They can all come together. They can come for family reunions. Why not?
And I love
You've got
and
picnic areas out here. You can
good
get
reminder.
together, do
You
your
can
thing.
bring your own. We sat next to a couple who had a cooler.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Bob, why didn't we do that? I mean, they brought their own wine, they had their own
Yep.
sandwiches. It was just so delightful, kind of like the olden days.
That's right. You can do, if you're on the hill, of course, you can bring whatever you spread it out, your blanket, your food, whatever you want to do. Don't bring anything in glass because obviously you're in a park. You don't want glass breaking on the hill. We don't want it breaking in the seated area either.
Exactly.
But you can bring your own. If you bring a cooler into the seats, it's got to fit under the seat in front of you because you've got to keep the aisles clear.
Right.
You don't want anything to be a hazard. So you just just kind of think before you walk out the door and start bringing things. But come, if you don't like it, you can get up and leave.
Exactly.
You have not invested hundreds of dollars in tickets, parking, food, because you can't bring your own food into a lot of the other
I
venues,
know.
at any of the other venues that I'm aware of. So, you, as long as you haven't spent so much money, if you really don't like it, or if your child cannot take it any longer and they've got to go home, you can get up and leave. Nobody is going to give you the side eye.
No.
Nobody's going to go, you do what you need to do, but come. Like, it's free and it's good.
Yeah.
That's
No, it
really
is.
important.
You just
It's
look
so
around, people are
diverse.
smiling.
They're having fun.
Yeah.
And these days, there's nothing wrong with people going out and having fun.
Except we need that. We
We
need
need that.
that,
We
Sissy.
need that. We need
So
it.
where can people get all the information, and tell us about the reserve tickets? What do
Yep.
we need to
Yeah.
do?
Best place for information is milleroutdoortheater.com, and that's THEATRE.com. You can get information on tickets right at the top of the page. It says get tickets, So click there. It'll take you right to the page where you can look and see which are tickets available,
Mhm.
are they available? 10 a.m. the day before the performance, the online ticketing system opens up, and you can get 4 per person. For really popular shows, tickets are gone in about 15 minutes.
Now, these are the reserve tickets
These are the
in the
these are the
seats
correct.
up
These are the
close.
seats. These are the seats. They're numbered. Each row, they're all, every row, and then every seat has a number.
Mhm.
So when you come, you are looking for, I'm either on the east, the center, or the west side. Row A, whichever the seat numbers are, whatever it is, all there. And you go get in your seat. At 5 minutes after the show starts, if there are unoccupied seats, and there generally always are, we release them, and people who do not have a ticket or didn't get online early and weren't able to secure a ticket or didn't have access to the internet, but they come out to the theater, they can walk in and take the unoccupied seats.
Awesome.
We try to make it as equitable as possible. We keep tickets at the box office so that people who don't have access to the internet can come hour before the show, get in line, and you can go up, and pretty much always there are tickets at the window. Right now, unfortunately, we have about a 40% no-show rate.
Wow.
They get tickets, and then for whatever reason, something happens, or groups of people who are going together all go online and get tickets, and then they choose the best set. So that leaves, there are other tickets that will be available. So those are at the box office. As people turn them in, we recapture them and make them available. And again, 5 after the show starts, if you've got an unoccupied seat, you can go sit down. And the Hill, you don't need to worry about tickets.
Yeah.
Your blanket
Show up.
or your lawn chairs, show up, do your thing, enjoy the show, and, you know, make memories.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
We get a
This
lot
is
of
the
people coming
place.
to the city.
Yep.
A
This
lot
is
of
the
people
place where
coming to the
people
city.
make memories.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are a lot of people who don't know about Miller. This is one of Houston's best amenities. One
Mhm.
of the best. Come on out. Don't
May
let anything
12th.
get in your way.
Right.
Come on out.
May 12th is the
May
big
12th.
celebration, the
May
big
12th is
birthday
the big
celebration.
birthday celebration. That is the actual anniversary date. The first date in 1923 was May 12th.
Mm.
So, come on out. The ballet is exquisite. Great performance, but come have some birthday cake. Again, come have
Exactly.
fun at Miller. Why not?
Sissy, it's like you were born for this role, right?
How true.
It's
How
true.
very true.
And
How
I
very true.
appreciate, I know you worked so hard on making sure that this is such a delightful experience for everyone in Houston. So we thank you for how you've enabled Miller to grow and bring this incredible entertainment to our city. It's pretty cool. A cool job you have.
A very cool job. As I tell people, I get to follow my passion every day.
Yeah, it's
And not
awesome.
everybody gets to do that. You and I both, we
Yep,
get to follow our personal passion every day.
we
And
do.
not everybody is quite that lucky. So
Well,
Thank
that's why
you for
I
always supporting Miller. We really appreciate everything that you and Sonny have done for Miller through the years. I mean, it's been
yeah,
a great partnership, and
you
we really do. We
you
appreciate
delight our city, and that's what this podcast is all
it.
about. And
Thank
so
you.
we
Thank you.
appreciate you. And Miller Outdoor Theater,
Yes.
RE.
RE.
Dot com for
.com.
tickets
Yep.
and all kinds of information.
Yeah.
Sissy, thank you so much.